It has been a very dominating season up to this point for the driver of the number one and Blaine Keys, and last week's race at the Charlotte Motor Speedway was a perfect example of what Blaine is capable of. Well, he is on his fourth straight pole position here in the Turkey Hill Truck Series, looking for his third straight win and his fourth win in 5 races. But there are 35 other drivers that want somebody else to win here today, and it's 42 laps here at this Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the 9th race of the season. It's the halfway point of the 2024 Turkey Hill Truck Series. Hello everybody, this is AG here, and welcome to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We are here for the DraftKings High Roller 400K. This is the halfway point of the season here in the Turkey Hill Truck Series for 2024. And if the races that we have seen the past couple of weeks are any indication, Blaine Keys is absolutely the championship favorite here in the Turkey Hill Truck Series. And he went on a tear last week at Charlotte, winning the pole, leading every lap in the race, even with a green flag cycle of pit stops. There was no catching him, though Barretto and Dorn were pretty close. They just weren't close enough to get the win. Today's race is longer, 42 laps of action. We still have a cycle of pit stops to go through, but this racetrack is much different. Joined alongside Stuart Gratton for the call of this one. Great to have you back, Stuart. It's been a while since we've had you in the booth, and the whole Gratton Autosport, Gratton Industries empire has been alive and well since San Mateo won Atlanta. It's been a Ford winning since that point, and it's been a car, or truck I should say, from Team Velocitar winning every race since Bristol, when Blaine Keys won there, Ladovic won Michigan, and then Blaine has won the last 2 races. Do you think there's any chance someone other than Team Velocitar wins here today? And what do these guys need to do to get to Blaine Keys to have him not win a race for once this season?
Well, given that Blaine is on the pole, Ladovic starts 7th. It's going to be a tall order, I think, for the field, given how well that Ladovic struggled a bit more obviously this year, but Blaine has just been on an incredible tear at the moment, and of course we saw what he did earlier in the season for the Cup race, where he was well in control of that until the engine blew up on his car. So it's going to be a difficult. It's going to be difficult for anybody else to get around. But the one weakness that we've seen from Velocitar this year at times is pit stops. So perhaps when that green flag pit stop comes around, you can see how that plays out. You probably, if you're Andrew Williams, who starts 3rd in this race in the 11, you want to try and put Blaine on that outside as quickly as you possibly can. Get him back in the pack, a bit more mired in the traffic, and make it a bit more difficult for him to work his way back up to the front. Granted, the inside lane is more often than not the preferred line here at Las Vegas around the turns. I think as the tyres wear out a bit, the outside lane, particularly off of turn 2, you can get a run off of turn 2 and then clear down into turn 3. So I think if you're the 11, you got the 51 there as well on that inside lane. The 25 I could see moving to inside early, 52, these guys up at the front. You want to try and get Blaine Keys back in the pack and make him work for this, and then maybe things go wrong in the pit cycle.
And we'll have to see if that ends up happening, because what happened at Charlotte, Blaine Keys got out to the lead and then had enough of a buffer that kept battling for second, and there was just no catching him that entire race. It's important to point out, though, that Andrew Williams is the defending race winner here at Las Vegas, and he did so driving the number 52 machine for Durrani Racing, and Matthew Hubert driving that truck, also starting in the top 6 here today. They could be a couple of dark horses if Blaine Keys happens to not go to victory lane. And remember what happened here in the Wall Wall Cup Series back in March. This was before Blaine Keys had won a race this year on the channel. He ended up being the dominant driver in that race until he had a tire issue and it took him out of contention. So there's all the ratings. You can do all the ratings perfectly, but luck and chance is still a huge factor in these races, and at some point that luck's going to run out for Blaine Keys. But it's his 4th straight pole. He's got now 257 points towards the championship, 8 races in. That is including, of course, the point he got for winning the pole here today. Nicolas San Mateo then is now 30 points behind. Kochmer is now 39 points behind. Thomas Troxel 42 points behind, and Jack Haas 53 points behind. It's going to take a catastrophic failure out of Blaine Keys for anyone to even come close to getting him in the points at the end of this race. But we still have 10 races left to go, and we have some short tracks. We do have Talladega. We have a road course left on the schedule. It's not a guaranteed lock yet for Blaine Keys. However, that finale race is at Homestead. He won that race a year ago on Christmas Day, and he has been lights out on these speedways the past couple of weeks. He's looking for his 4th win of the season. He's alongside Eric Monaco, a great starting position for Eric Monaco there in TP Motorsports. This team has qualified very well this season with the new qualifying format, and Eric Monaco definitely has a lot to be proud of with that team and what he's been able to accomplish. Andrew Williams, one of his best starting positions of the year, to the inside of Aaron Abel, who also has his best starting position of the year there for Angel Mafia Motorsports. Aaron Abel is an absolute dark horse to win this one as well, based on the success that he has had in this series in the past, though he's never won a race in this series before. Derek Hamill to the inside of Matthew Hubert. In row number 3, you got Ludovic Charette. That's a good starting position for her, and she could actually take it to Blaine Keys in this race if things play out a certain way. Nathan Stapleton and Logan Williams on the outside lanes there in rows 4 and 5. It's a good starting position for Triad Racing. They absolutely need a good run here, and Bryce Egan starts there in the 9th position here today. We'll go ahead and get these drivers to roll off here from Las Vegas in the DraftKings High Roller 400K. And we're going to get these drivers to roll off here. Make sure everyone does, in fact, roll off. Some of the drivers that are starting in the back, like Leonard Kochmer there in the 39, 3rd in points. Nicholas Samedeo starting 20th, is 2nd in points. And Troxel on the outside lane midway through the field in the 93. Their drivers to watch out for as this race goes along and see if they can work their way through the field. Evans Ross Racing is still the owner's points leader right now ahead of Team Velocitar, but if Blaine and Ludovic have a good day here today, that could change. Well, Stuart, is it going to be Blaine Keys, or do you think someone else is going to have an opportunity at this race victory here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway?
I think it would be foolish to go against Blaine Keys, given how well he's run in recent times. And as you mentioned before, yeah, he ran very well in the Cup race here earlier in the year, which I was also in the booth for, until had that mechanical issue. So, and given the way that he dominated Charlotte, these are his specialties. This is bread and butter. The intermediate speedways. It would be very surprising to see anyone but the one go to victory lane, so I'll go with him for this race.
All right, we'll see what happens to him here in the one machine. Maybe get a little redemption for what happened to him in March. I know he would have loved to get that race win if he had won that race. Well, he still wouldn't have won the championship, but it would have made it a little bit easier for him at Darlington if he had those bonus points from that win. But that wasn't the case. But he's got a good points lead at this point, and he looks to extend it here today. Here we go. We're green flag racing in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's the halfway point of the Turkey Hill Truck Series in 2024. Andrew Williams is going for it. He has a nose to the inside there of Blaine Keys for the race lead, though Blaine will lead the first lap of the race. Andrew Williams going to dive right to the inside, and hello, here comes Ludovic Charette for second, and she's got a fast truck here today, getting right to the inside of Blaine Keys for that second position. And now Ludovic looking to make a move there to the inside of Andrew Williams. Williams is going to overshoot the corner, and they're going to go 3 wide off the exit. Blaine's got to be careful not to get into Williams there. And at the stripe, it is going to be Andrew Williams barely leading lap 2, so Blaine Keys will not lead every lap here today. But a wild race up front so far as Ludovic Charette takes the race lead.
One thing we saw there from Andrew Williams is that he couldn't keep his car in the bottom. He slid up the racetrack there a couple of times in turns 3 and 4, so that's why he just lost a little bit of time going down the straight in the first 2 laps. But Ludovic now cleared to the lead in the 2. You got Bryce Egan in the 5. Rogel Dawn. Rogel Dawn was another driver who had a good run last week and was quick here in the Cup race, finished top 5 back in March, so he's someone to keep in mind. And 3 wide here going into turn 1, that's risky. Can get away with it, but it is not ideal to say the least at times, but they will get away with it there. And Ludovic has long gone in the number 2. He's well ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, and she's had such a odd season here in the Truck Series. She did get the win at Michigan, but even that came late in the going. She really has not had a dominating performance yet this season in the Truck Series. She sits, I should say, 15th in the championship coming into this race. However, Rogel-Dorn's a driver who has found a lot of speed, of course, was up there, battling with Blaine Keys near the end of that race after the cycle of pit stops at Charlotte. Could not get to Blaine at the end of that one, but Rogel's got a good shot here today in that 98 machine. How about Bryce Egan up to third, taking it to these guys, and you know something, that one on the Blaine Keys is slipping back just a little bit, has not been able to get to that inside lane, and he is now battling with Bruno Diacomo for the 6th position. You got Laura Chung, Matthew Hubert battling right here. They're a little tight going into the corner. How about Duncan Ward? This is a driver who has found a lot of pace as of late in this 18 machine, all things considered. He is now 17th in the championship standings and moving his way up inside the top 10. The back up front, Rogel-Dorn looking to the inside of Ludovic Charette. And I don't know, wouldn't it be something if the race that Stewart returns to the booth is the race that the Grattan Industry streak ends? There's a good chance of that, too, because you got Rogel-Dorn, you got Bryce Egan here, Andrew Williams, all up here trying to get around Ludovic Charette, and Rogel's going to be able to make it stick there to the inside on lap 7.
Yeah, no grip on the outside there for the 2, as dropping back now to 3rd, and maybe Williams will get to the inside as well. Yes, he does. Look further back, Wayne still on that outside. Like I said, you want to get him to the outside, get him back in the pack, and make him work his way forward. And that's exactly what they've done so far. But here we go. So Bryce Egan here in the 5. I reckon he's one of those guys that hasn't had a great season to date so far. 19th in the championship, but he's a talented driver. He showed that throughout the season with Andrews Racing in the Cup Series, and will be someone I look forward to next year. In that, I think it's team for Trackhouse, I think, next year. Laura Chung here in the 4, the inside of Diacomo, who needs a good run in the 3. He's struggled a bit this year. Keys has now got into the inside, has got around Matthew Hubert as well. So, very interesting. I saw Kochema as well trying to make his way forward in the 39. There he is.
There's your driver.
Sam Adio right up there as well. My internet just went all fuzzly. That's all good. But yeah, Sam Adio working his way forward as well. These are the 2 guys, and Troxel as well. Those are the 3 guys that are the closest to Keys in the championship. Still a few trucks behind at the moment.
Well, this is a very unique situation for Blaine Keys to be in. Now, granted, at Rockingham, he was a little bit deeper in the field. I mean, he was up front most of the time, but only led 3 laps in that race, even though he did get the race victory. After what we saw last week at Charlotte, we all thought, oh boy, it's over. But now, Blaine's kind of struggling here with Giacomo. Jack Haas getting around him. And here we go. For second, Andrew Williams to the inside of Bryce Egan. And this is a huge opportunity for Broke Boys Garage. This team, they ran well in Michigan with Andrew, and they really haven't seen much since then. But Andrew Williams definitely trying to rebound here, trying to defend his race win here in Las Vegas. He's now up to the 2nd position, and guess what? You got yourself a Chevy, and a non-Grattan Ford in the top 3. What's the last time we've seen that this season here in the Truck Series? Bryce Egan, though, has done an excellent job in this race, and it has been the best of seasons so far for him, 19th in the point standings. But then again, Andrew Williams sits all the way back in 27th. Rogel-Dorn's actually 9th in the standings. He's got a much better season going for him than what he had last year here in the trucks. But you can't count out Ludovic Charette. Once we get to that cycle of pit stops, once we cycle things through, that number 2 machine is going to be hard to beat, I feel like. And this is a huge opportunity for Ludovic to rebound in the championship, though. She comes into this race 97 points behind her teammate of Blaine Keys. And even Blaine's kind of settled back in up to the 6th position. He's gotten back around Bruno Diacomo. Did not let Jack Haas get around him right there. You now have Troxel moving inside the top 10. You have Igor Barreto. How about Roberto Crown Jr., another driver who has found a lot of strength so far this season. 7th in points for Roberto, only 66 behind coming into this one. Still going for that first career win. They came close on Thursday night at Atlanta, I should say, in the Elimination Series finale. Just couldn't get around Lauren Martinez in that one. But got a top 10 run, knocking on the door for that 01 machine. Here, 13 laps into this race. How about Laura Chung as well? Also, inside the top 5, was runner-up at Atlanta. Now she's moving to the inside for 4th on Ludovic Charette.
Yeah, Ludovic, you see that outside lane just starting to kick in just a little bit, perhaps, trying to get that run on the high side, but then slipped up the racetrack, and the 4 should get around for that 4th position, ironically enough, and looks like she will. Ludovic trying to fight it back. You see that? Yeah, again, you see that outside lane now starting to kick in as the tyres wear. But if you're Ludovic, I think you want to get behind the four because you don't want Blaine Keys trying to get to the inside, I would suspect. And Keys has pulled away from that next group. So Diacomo and Haas and those cars are the ones behind as Williams now goes for the second position. And it looks like he will get it here on Bryce Egan. But Keys has now pulled away from that group from 7th on back. So and now he's going to the inside of Ludovic. So Keys has definitely ruined himself back into this race, and still well within striking distance of our leader, Rogel Dawn. Still got a few trucks ahead, of course, but in a good position. But Dawn is, we talked about Dawn. Ran top 5 in the Cup race earlier in the year, and pretty good on the intermediates as well. So be fun to watch.
Remember what he did in the Coke 600 this year as well, and beat Blaine Keys in that Coke 600. That dominating performance that he had. We've had some dominating races at Charlotte. At least I have had some dominating races at Charlotte. And I know Caleb's race was a little different there with Braden Perez winning that one over there in the Lenovo Pro Series. You've had a good run over there in that series, Stuart, battling with the championship over there. A couple of wins. I was glad I could finally call you to a race victory a couple weeks ago as well in the Body Armor Pro Series. That was really fun to do. That was a really fun race to do. Well, some of our familiar faces running inside the top 10 right now. Barreto, who was runner-up last week at Charlotte, looking to take the 10th position away from Thomas Troxel right here. Got Roberto just outside right here, and San Medeo with a solid run. And I was saying in qualifying earlier today, Nicholas San Medeo is not one of those guys who tends to battle for wins that often in these rating series. However, he is one of the most consistent drivers when it comes to these rating series. He has actually finished top 3 in points every single one of these rating series we've done with the Wall Cup Series, Turkey Hill Truck Series since the beginning of last year, and currently he sits 2nd in the points now. So I know you love to see that out of your driver, Nicholas San Medeo, but I know you'd love to see him get another race victory, and if he does get another win here, his next one will be his 30th career win on the channel. He'd be the first driver to do that on the channel, and it's going to be a huge moment when that happens, and that's a win. He is absolutely going to get win number 30 at some point. Just don't know when or where that will be, but a solid run for him right now, and here we go. The Velocity trucks battling with one another right here. Blaine Keys to the inside of Ludovic Charette. That is for the 4th position. For the 5th position, excuse me.
Yeah, it looks like Blaine is going to clear here and maybe set sail, go after the top 4. I tell you what, that Talladega race you mentioned before, that was a fun one. I'll guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. I love that. But the top. These guys, 2nd through 5th, they're the ones that, they're closing in a little bit here on Rogel Dawn and the lead, but they've broken away from everyone behind. This is, it's going to be interesting to see, when pit stops come around, because we are approaching that soon. It'll be interesting to see, what happens in terms of who comes down earlier, who comes down later, how is that going to affect, what's the tyre wear going to be like. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out, but as of right now, you've got these 6 drivers. You've got a fair gap back to Diacomo in 7th. They're the ones right now that would be competing for the race win.
And there's a good opportunity for someone to get their first win of the season here, but then you got these 2 drivers hanging in the back of all this who could very well have a good jump once we get through that cycle. Bryce Egan again going for 2nd on Andrew Williams. These 2 have battled for the 2nd position pretty much this entire run. As next time by, I'll be halfway through this race, just a few laps away from the green flag cycle of pit stops here in Las Vegas. Laura Chung as well, making a move to the inside of Andrew Williams as they try to close in on Rogel. And this is exactly what Rogel wants to see in his attempt to win this race. Ludovic moving to the inside of Blaine Keys right there. They're all shuffling around back in there as you got Kochmer now in 7th. Bruno Diacomo, Jack Haas, Igor Barreto, the top 10 with Crown, San Medeo, Troxel, and Hamill. Logan Williams is 15th right now. Corey Case, Duncan Ward, Skep Silver, Matthew Hubert. A bit of a rougher race for Hubert and Abel than I thought they were going to have. They fell back right there. And then Jesse Center, Avery Alford battling for that last position right there. Nathan Stapleton again with a poor run. Just falling back. There's just no speed in those Triad trucks, which is very interesting to see as we got the cycle beginning right here. Rogel Dorn is like, the window's open, I'm going to take it. And now you got Laura Chung out front in the 4 machine. She got around both Bryce Egan and Andrew Williams right there. The Rogel's going to have an advantage here coming down now. Nobody on the pit lane. Easy entrance for him. And he's going to be able to get those tires to work to his advantage here as this run goes along. But This race has been much more entertaining than what we saw last week when Blaine Keys led every single lap, but Blaine might still get the job done here today. We'll have to see how his pit stop goes.
Yeah, and they're staying out once again. Just quickly as well, with Koshima behind, he's closing in that 39. Of course, he's up there as looks like everyone is staying out, which is interesting. But Koshima, he's third in the points. He's had a great year so far.
There an issue on that 98 machine? No, I think that was a scheduled stop.
Scheduled stop, yeah.
Yep, it was.
Yeah, all good there. So just a couple laps earlier than everyone else. But Koshima's had a great year. He's making himself very noticeable as here we go. Williams is coming down in the 11. Looks like he might be the only one. But 39, third in points is ahead of Troxel. He's doing a good job for, he wants to get into Cup next year. He's doing a very good job driving, albeit a very good truck in Evans Ross Racing. And we know how good that team is, given their Cup season, and what they've done so far. So it'll be very interesting. I'm curious as to when these guys will pit now, because of the difference. We saw the 98 come down and the 11 pitted. I'm sure that looks like Chung's going to come down now. Looks like the vast majority
come down right here.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think with Dawn, he's at the advantage because he's got a clean pit road. You don't have guys getting in the way of each other like you're going to see here. So I think it is an added benefit for that 98 team.
He's coming around now, and I don't think... we'll see how it cycles through. He got around Andrew Williams right there. He's got another lap for the rest of those drivers, but he is going to be at a major advantage. However, that was about a split run. The tire wear is going to come into effect just a little bit and be in the advantage of the guys who just came down, like Laura Shung, like Bryce Egan, Blaine Keys, and those guys. Speaking of which, let's see how it goes down for Blaine here. And pit lane has been a bit of a struggle for these guys this season. And once again, an issue with the number one of Blaine Keys, and that's going to take him out of winning this race. Not entirely sure what the issue was for Blaine, but an extended pit stop for Blaine Keys, and once again, more pit road issues for this team. That has been the Achilles heel for Velocity this season. And with that, I think that puts the dagger in that Velocitar's not going to win here today. Look at this 98 and how far ahead he is right now. Second place is Andrew Williams in the 11, and he's 3.5 seconds behind. Yeah, so we saw that all the trucks that came down earlier, so Dawn came in a couple of laps earlier than Williams, got out to now 3.5 seconds. And Williams came in before, Chung and Diacomo, Egan, all these guys. Sam Adeo's done a good job actually moving his way up. But, got to, move. Came in before those guys, even by a lap, and made a big difference. So, Big Williams trying to close in here. He's got the toe of the 24 as a lap down, Christian Vargas, right in front. It's been a tough year for Vargas, but... it's going to take a lot for the 11 to close in, I would think, to Rogal Dawn, because he's got to get around the 24 first and foremost, and then got to close in even more. So I think for Dawn, he's in a good spot right now to win this race. And he has done everything right here today, and I know his team owner, Reggie Fogelman's going to be happy about this one if they can pull it off, because, like I mentioned, it's going to be the first non-Ford to win this season since Troxel at Darlington. And only the second Chevrolet to win this season as well. It's been all Ford pretty much this entire season, and all the Grattan affiliated trucks as well, with Grattan Autosport, Web Racing Enterprises, and of course Team Velocitar. But Velocitar is not running as well as they would have hoped. Blaine is all the way back, quite a ways back, in 26th. That was a disaster for those guys. And that's going to open the door right back up in this championship, especially with Nicholas running 5th right now. And Nicholas has a very quick truck. How about the other Trackhouse truck? How about Trackhouse Racing in general? 1st and 4th right now. Diacomo is 4th. And this is a guy who won twice last year with Hairgel Motorsports. You got the Hairgel Motorsports of Laura Shung in 3rd. And then the Broke Boys Garage and Andrew Williams in 2nd, but it's going to take Rogal Dawn blowing an engine for anyone else to win this race at this point, because Andrew is not closing in at a good enough rate of speed to have any chance at closing in on this 98 machine.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good reward for effort for Reggie Fogelman and Trackhouse Racing, who have had, got that Cup win at Atlanta with Daniel Paulus Jr. They've made the chase over there, and they got two very good drivers. Dawn's had a great year, ninth in points, and will move up as a result of what we think is going to be a win, barring the miraculous happening. It's good to see Nicholas Samadeo getting up to fourth. He's actually, this 23-39, I think they could get to the 11 at least to get to second and third. But because 23-39, these are the two cars that are competing with Keys at the moment for the championship. So be very interesting, because I think, the way they're going at the moment, they're very quick back end of this race, but they won't have enough for Dawn, barring a miraculous happening. I think with the 23 as well and the 39, make the most of what you've got now to close in on the one while he's having a poor race, because you're not going to, in theory, you're not going to see too much of that happening. And by the way, as well, I'm Nostradamus. I said, look, get Blank Keys to the outside, make him work his way through the field, and then he said, oh, you got to hope for a bad pit stop. Exactly what has happened to the one today.
And that bad pit stop, and that's been a big key with Blaine Keys over the past few months. It's just been bad pit stops, and albeit the pit stop at Darlington that really sent him out had to do with damage. That right there, I don't know what was going on. But he also had an issue at Chicagoland in the Walwell Cup Series race as well on the pit lane with Racing Motorsports. So it's something now that seems to always happen to the best drivers. Now, I'm going to say this. Laura Chung's gotten around Andrew Williams right here. Nicholas Samadio's closing in as well. The tire wear, remember what I said about the tire wear right when that cycle ended, that these guys who were 2 laps, actually 3 laps essentially ahead of Rogal Dorn, they're going to be a bit faster with their tires, and Laura Chung was the first of those drivers. Samadio in the 23 is closing in quite well in this machine, and he's closed in over a second the past couple of laps on Rogal Dorn. They got to get around Christian Vargas, but then it's a clean racetrack in between them and the 98, but they got to get around the 24, who's definitely going to hold them up here. We'll see if Laura Chung can actually get around the 24 machine. These were the two guys who battled for it. The 2 1,000ths of a second finish at Atlanta. I know Laura's thinking about that with Nicholas Samadio right behind her, and she would love to be the one who gets the Rogal Dorn and maybe steal this win away here at Las Vegas. And for Laura Chung, her only 4 career wins on the channel have come in this series, and they all came 2 years ago in 2022 when she debuted on the channel. She has yet to go to victory lane since that moment. I just don't know if she's going to have enough time. Still 2.5 seconds for the 4, but she's got a clean racetrack ahead of her.
Yeah, absolutely. But with 6 laps to go, I think it's a tall order. I don't know if it's impossible, but it's a tall order. I think if you're the 4 and the 23, and now Koshman's worked his way past the 24 as well, you've just got to work together here, because you could definitely close in on the 98 if you work together, draft off each other, and just go single file. With now 5 laps to go, closed in by 3/10 on that lap. So, there may be enough time here for the 4 and the 23, 39, as long as they keep it straight and together. As see what ends up happening here. And of course, we just saw the 44 as well, another lap truck that may come into play as well. So, we'll see. Dawn's still in the far and away the ideal position, but you see Samadio now trying to get to the inside. Still far and away the best position, but who knows? We've got 4 laps. Never know.
It's just not enough time at this rate, I don't think. I just don't think. Now, what's Philip Torres going to do here? Because I think that 44 might get in the way of this 98, depending on how far off the pace Philip is at this moment. By the way, Jesse Turner out of the race with a header issue, and that's a tough break for Jesse. Still looking for his first top 10 of the season. It's not going to come today, unfortunately. And then Vargas, the only driver lap down. Everybody else still on the lead lap here, Las Vegas, with 3 laps to go in the DraftKings High Roller 400K. And if there were, say, 5 more laps at this point, I'd say there's a chance, but they're not closing in at a fast enough rate to really make a difference. And Rogal Dorn doing everything right here today. And, when the Walwell Cup Series chase started earlier this year, we all thought Rogal was actually the driver to beat in that championship. Well, it turns out that wasn't really the case, and Blaine Keys, Ladova Stret went out to battle, but Rogal might be the driver who can get to Blaine Keys on these intermediates this season. And right here, Rogel was absolutely the dominant driver in this race. These drivers trying to do all they can. You got to give San Mateo a lot of credit for just working with Laura Chung right here to try to close in. But if I'm San Mateo at this point, I want to try to get as many points as I can. I don't think you're going to get up to that 98 machine, and might want to try to go for second. But Rogel Dorn coming around to take the white flag here in Las Vegas in the DraftKings High Roller 400K. One to go for the Trackhouse Racing driver. Let's see if he can make it back around. 1.2 seconds now for Rogel. But he can kind of coast it a little bit here and still get this race win.
Absolutely, he's thoroughly deserved it. And that pit strategy, we talked about it coming down a couple of laps earlier. So hopefully the 23 can get around the 4 here. But they're coming down a couple of laps earlier, got that clean pit road, good pit stop, got him out in front, and he's been able to cruise to victory.
And Rogel Dorn is going to be the dominant driver here today. And for the first time since Darlington, a non-Ford's going to go to victory lane. It's Rogel Dorn for Trackhouse Racing winning the DraftKings High Roller 400K. The Team Velocitar streak has ended, and it ends with the 98 machine going to victory lane in Sin City. Laura Chung will finish second. Great run for that's her second runner-up finish of the season. She's going to move into the top 10 in points with that. Nicholas San Mateo, Leonard Koshmer, and how about Bruno Diakmo? How about Trackhouse Racing? First and fifth right there here today. Andrew Williams, Ladovic Charette, Roberto Crown Jr., Thomas Troxel, and Jack Haas. And good run for Logan Williams, finishing 11th here today. He wasn't a top 10 for the Triad Racing driver, but that is definitely a much-needed run for Logan after the season that he has had. But a very interesting race. Blaine Keys is going to finish in 26. He just could not recover. He didn't even move through the field there once he got stuck back in the traffic there. It was not his day. It was Rogel Dorn's day, and Rogel Dorn gets his second career win in the Turkey Hill Truck Series. Only this time around, it's going to put him in a much better position in the point standings. Great run for Rogel. Great run for Laura Chung. Nice to see some fresher faces up front after what we've seen the past few weeks. And maybe you are disappointed, Stuart, because obviously Team Velocitar, a satellite team of Grind Autosport, but I'm sure you're happy to see what your driver, Nicholas San Mateo, did in this race, finishing third after starting 20th here today.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's slightly disappointing to not see one of our teams get the job done today. But San Mateo did a great job. He was very quick in the second half of that race. He was fantastic, and just closed in a bit on Blaine Keys in the championship. Should be noted that San Mateo, Koshma, Troxel, and Haas all finished top 10 today. They're second through fifth in the championship. So they're all going to close in. It's obviously, it'll still be San Mateo and Koshma that will be the two that are right there or thereabouts as, and the Troxel, to be fair, as well. But yeah, you see Keys in 26th. Yeah, that pit stop was what did it for the one team. They got back in traffic and were unable to move their way forward, which was very interesting because you would have thought with the speed that they showed, certainly at Charlotte, you would have thought potentially would have been able to move their way forward, but clearly not the case. Igor Barreto was another one that dropped back as a result of the pit stops. He was up in the top 10 there in the 13. He finished 17th, and so disappointing for him as well, given he was 6th in points coming in. But it was a very interesting race, and outside of Turner, we didn't have that many reliability issues, which we had seen earlier in the year in the Cup race. So very interesting.
Mm-hmm. And these guys, they ran another clean race as well, which is good to see. But it was a fascinating one with Blaine Keys just having his issue right there. But he already was kind of in a bad position at that point too. So it was interesting to see him not have the dominance that he had last week. And now the championship's wide open again because Nicholas San Mateo he's going to be single digits within Blaine Keys going in the IRP. And guess what Nicholas San Mateo did when the Wawa Cup Series was there for the Winter Showdown? He won. So who knows? San Mateo could have a great opportunity of being the one who gets to Keys. Kochmer as well is going to have a great opportunity. Troxel with another solid run. Good run for Ladovic Charette, though I think she might be too far behind at this point to really contend with all those guys, just considering how strong they are. But, wow, what a race that was here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and Rogel Dorn gets it done here for the 9th race of the season. We're now halfway through the season. Next week, we're at the Indianapolis Raceway Park. Only 50 laps there. It's a short race, one of the shortest races of the season for the Turkey Hill Truck Series, so qualifying is going to be a huge factor in that one. You also got to cycle pit stops as well, and it is difficult to pass there, so qualifying is going to be massive there. We'll see. Blaine still has a streak going over there, looking for his 5th straight pole. We'll have to see if that ends up happening for him once we get over to Indianapolis on Friday. But thank you guys so much for watching. Huge thanks to Stuart for joining me here in the booth. Great to have you, Stuart, as always. And congratulations to Rogel Dorn once again on his race victory here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Congratulations to Rogel Dorn. Here are the points for the Turkey Hill Truck Series halfway through the 2024 season, and I will see you guys later.